Hi there, you're back with English Coach, and today we're talking about how to deal with failure. This is a great question. Think about this. How do I deal with failure? And why does this question always come up? Why is this a question that so many people want answers to? Basically, because failure is inevitable in many things. And in our notion of success, in our notion of failure, are very flawed. In fact, we look at success and we look at failure in ways that don't help us to live our lives the right way. Often we look at success and failure not just in terms of our skills or our talents and the talents of others, but maybe as a question of luck. When often there may be luck involved, we cannot think about that. And we must always be ready to work harder toward that we want. And I know the first thing that comes into your head when you think, oh, I need to work harder, I need to do more, I need to sacrifice more, I need to put in more work, is that when you fail, it's going to be that much more painful. And that is quite amazing that we put in all of that effort, we put in all of those hours, dedicating ourselves, committing ourselves to that given endeavor or that given competition, we lose. And it feels terrible. We feel terrible about ourselves. And then, if we have other goals or if we have other competitions to start, usually we get over it a little faster than if we had put all of our bets on that one thing. But nevertheless, we feel terrible about it. The question, I guess, that we should be asking instead of how do we deal with failure is, should we feel terrible about failure? And I guess the answer may be that in most cases, not all cases, in most cases, you are going to feel terrible. There's nothing you can do to stop that feeling. I have a little secret, and that secret is the only thing that I've done in my life, that I've ever done in my life, that where I've ever had any success in, was where I was able to experiment, was where I was able to fail without being too afraid of failing. And in many areas in life, that's just not the reality. If you fail, there's a consequence. You read into that consequence, and that consequence mentally imprisons you until that day when you fail and you just feel like you've lost something, that you're not worth as much. But take all of those people and all of those areas where people can actually experiment and make many, many mistakes before they start pumping out the master works. Now, this is the real secret. I guess it's not really a question of how do we deal with failure? Should we feel terrible about failure? But how can we make, or how can we look at our lives like an experiment? How can we look at the competitions that we participate in as experiments? Our expectations go straight to the top. We give ourselves two options: or you win or you lose. What about if you were just there to get intelligence? What about if you're just there to get informed about the skills or the talents of others? What about if you're just there to get a good feeling of where you are at? Instead of betting all your money on one little game or one little endeavor and seeing that it didn't work out for you because you just had that one little thing. Instead of looking at your whole life as a grand experiment with each aspect having many mistakes, having many errors, where you can look and you can analyze and you can learn from each one. That's not to say you're going to feel brilliant about the errors and the mistakes. It is to say, however, that you will look at the mistakes and you'll use them as little life lessons until you get that inevitable success. Because success is inevitable when you look at life as an experiment. And that is the philosophy I want to share with you today. And that is the idea that I want you to take on. Be willing to break things. Be willing to ruin things. And as long as you know what you broke, as long as you know what you ruined, you can find success. You are allowed to make mistakes. You are never worthless. You can continue. That's the good news for today. It was a pleasure to be here and share this with you. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you subscribe to my channel where I like to share things like this every week. Thanks a lot.